In life, change is something we cannot avoid. The world around us moves quickly. New technology appears every day. Jobs change. People move to new cities or countries. Even our own feelings and dreams can change. Sometimes, we are ready for these changes, but many times they come suddenly. That is why learning to adapt is one of the most important skills we can have. It is like a real superpower that helps us stay strong, calm, and hopeful when life becomes different. To adapt means to adjust to new situations. It means you can stay flexible when things do not go as planned. Imagine a tree in the wind. A strong but stiff tree might break during a storm, but a flexible tree bends and survives. Being adaptable is like that. It does not mean you give up your values or your goals. It means you find new ways to reach them. Life is full of moments that test us, and when we can adapt, we turn problems into lessons. Think about school or work. Sometimes, a teacher changes the lesson plan, or your manager gives you a new task you did not expect. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Maybe you think, I don't know how to do this. But if you decide to stay open, ask questions, and try, you start to learn. You discover that your mind can grow. This is how adaptability makes us stronger. We stop being afraid of new things because we trust that we can learn what we need. When you learn to adapt, you also learn to manage stress better. Many people get angry or scared when plans fail. They want everything to stay the same because that feels safe. But life is not like that. The truth is that control is only an illusion. The more we fight change, the more tired we feel. Adapting helps us save energy. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" we can say, "What can I do now?" This question changes everything. It moves us from fear to action. Adaptability also makes relationships easier. Every person has their own way of thinking and living. When you can adapt, you can understand others better. You learn to listen, to see situations from different sides, and to speak in a way that connects instead of divides. For example, maybe you have a friend who likes to plan everything, while you are more spontaneous. If you can adapt, you find a middle ground. You plan a little, but you also leave space for surprises. This kind of balance makes friendships stronger. In the workplace, adaptability is one of the top skills employers look for. Companies today face fast changes. New tools, new ideas, new ways of working appear all the time. If you can learn quickly and adjust, you become very valuable. You don't panic when something goes wrong. You focus on finding solutions. Imagine two workers. One says, "This is not how we usually do it," and stops. The other says, "Let's try a different way and see what happens." Who do you think will grow faster? The second one, because adaptability is not about perfection, it is about progress. Learning to adapt also helps you discover yourself. When life changes, you see parts of yourself that you didn't notice before. You find out that you can be creative, brave, or patient. For example, if you move to another country, at first you might feel lost. The language, food, and people are all new. But as you adapt, you learn new skills. How to communicate in a simple way, how to be independent, how to see beauty in difference. In the end, you become a stronger and wiser version of yourself. Of course, adapting is not always easy. It takes time and patience. Sometimes, it means accepting something you cannot change, like losing a job or ending a relationship. In those moments, it helps to focus on what you can control. You can control your attitude, your effort, and your next step. You can choose to learn something new, to meet new people, or to rest for a while before trying again. These small choices help you rebuild your life piece by piece. One way to become more adaptable is to keep learning. The more knowledge you have, the easier it is to handle change. Read books, listen to different opinions, learn new skills, and stay curious. Curiosity keeps your mind open. It reminds you that change is not always bad. It is often an invitation to grow. When you face something new, instead of saying, "I can't do this," try saying, "I don't know this yet, but I can learn." That small word, yet, changes the whole story. Another way to train adaptability is to step out of your comfort zone regularly. You don't have to do something huge. Start small, try a new hobby, speak to a stranger, cook a new dish, or travel to a place you have never been before. Every time you try something new, you teach your brain that change is not dangerous. It is just different. Over time, you become more comfortable with uncertainty, and that gives you quiet confidence. Adaptability also connects closely with emotional strength. When things change, emotions often run high. You might feel fear, sadness, or frustration. That is normal. Being adaptable does not mean you hide your feelings. It means you understand them. You can say to yourself, "I feel nervous because this is new," and that's okay. When you accept your emotions, they lose power over you. Then, you can think clearly and make better decisions. Another important part of adaptability is communication. When situations change, people often misunderstand each other. They make different assumptions or expect others to think like them. If you can communicate openly and kindly, you make adaptation easier for everyone. Say what you need clearly. Ask questions instead of guessing. Listen before you answer. This builds trust, and trust is the foundation for teamwork in uncertain times. Let's not forget that adapting also means forgiving yourself for mistakes. When you try something new, it rarely goes perfectly. You might fail, make errors, or feel lost. But every mistake is information. It shows what doesn't work, so you can find what does. Instead of blaming yourself, say, "Now I know one more way that doesn't help." This positive mindset turns failure into practice. It makes you resilient. And resilience is the twin sister of adaptability. Sometimes, people believe that adapting means changing who you are, but that is not true. You don't have to lose your identity to adjust. You can stay true to your values while changing your methods. Think of water. It changes shape depending on the container, but it is still water. You can do the same. Keep your honesty, kindness, or curiosity, but express them in new ways when life requires it. This balance between stability and flexibility is what makes you strong. When you look at successful people, you will see that they all share this superpower. They do not know everything. They just know how to learn, unlearn, and learn again. They don't panic when plans fail. They experiment until something works. They are not lucky. They are adaptable. And the good news is, anyone can develop this skill. You do not need to be born with it. You can practice it every day in small ways. Start by paying attention to your daily reactions. When something unexpected happens, notice what you feel. Take a breath before reacting. Ask yourself, what is the best way to respond now? This short pause gives you control. It turns reaction into choice. Over time, you will notice that you recover from problems faster. You will trust yourself more. You will see change not as a threat, but as a teacher. So yes, learning to adapt is a superpower. It gives you strength without making you hard. It gives you wisdom without making you old. It helps you keep moving when others stop. In a world that never stands still, adaptability is not only helpful, it is necessary. It protects your dreams, your peace, and your hope. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Change will always come, but if you can adapt, you will always find a way forward. That is the quiet power that turns ordinary people into heroes of their own story.